evening, and thank you for tuning in to Community Updates right here on WJZZ Cool TV. I'm your host, Michelle White, and tonight we have as our guest doing a phone interview with Calvin Mann, the president and founder of Emily, Emmy Inc. and Good Fathers Only. It's a male mentoring program where they mentor young men from the ages of 12 to 24. So we're going to be speaking with him, and he's going to be sharing with us a lot of great things. But before we get started, I want to let everyone know, thank you to all of you who are tuned in this evening. And I want to let everyone know that our prayers go out to Syria and Turkey for all those affected by the earthquake and such a disaster. I am a Lions Club member, and I know we have people already out there trying to, Lions Club International, not the football team. And we have people already out there because where there's a need, there's a lion. So with the disaster relief, we have people that are helping to give food and all the various things that we do in disaster situations. So, Mr. Mann, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Mr. Mann? I can't hear you.
Number you are trying to reach is automatic call. Reach the call.
Roger, can you hear me?
Please press.
We've been having a few technical. Can you hear me, Mr. Mann?
I can hear.
We were
I can
having
hear
some
you now.
technical difficulties this evening, but while they're getting that all straight, I did. Yeah. Mr. Mann, can you hear me?
I sure can.
Oh, wonderful. I can hear you too now. Well, again, thank you for being our guest this evening on Community Updates. And I'm really excited about this because I, you know, we have so many programs for women, girl power, and all the various things, and that's wonderful. But there equally needs to be programs, more programs for men, and particularly our black men. So I've had an opportunity to look through your website and the other materials that you sent to me, and a wonderful program. And I'm looking forward to you sharing with us a lot of the wonderful things that you all do. And pronounce the name of the program is Emily.
It's Emmy.
Emmy. And did that name stem from anything in particular?
Encourage me, I'm young.
Encouraging our young. Emmy.
Encourage me, encourage me, I'm young.
Encourage me, I'm young. I love that.
Yes, ma'am.
If we can get our volume up a little bit, that would be great. I can hear Mr. Mann, but not as well as I should. So again, I do apologize for the technical difficulties that we're experiencing this evening, but let's get into Encourage Me, I'm Young program. And I see that you are a national encourager. I love this. You said an agent for change, an advocate for boys and fathers, as well as an author. And fathers need so much encouragement as well. That is huge. So tell us a little bit about your program. I shared with you earlier, I'm going to be talking to you from a lot of the pieces that you have, the material that you sent me.
So we mentor boys from 8 to 24, and we make sure that we have fathers who are mentors, and we continue to make sure that the boy is getting access to more fathering. So that's why we need fathers as mentors, because a lot of our young men don't get access, and a lot of our men never had access to an actual father, right? The black father is the most involved father as we speak
Have
right now,
the
right?
actual father, right?
Um, the black father is the most involved father. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Barely, but I can
right?
hear you.
So in that process, here, let me. In that process,
Oh, that's
uh,
better. Thank you.
that's better. Okay. In that process, we found that there were some things that were missing cognitive, right? And so even in our mentoring program, we pulled in one of my former associate coaches that coached basketball with me to teach them Arabic. He has been teaching Arabic for 30 years. So I wanted him to come in because, when you teach a language, it unlocks the cognitive ability of a young person. So we found that to be important. Community service was another where they could use their skill, be useful, right? Because the one thing that we find with men in today's society, a lot of people feel like you don't need them. Right? We talk like that, and so men have been retreating for years. So here's a way that we can bring men out of retreating by getting involved with mentoring and making sure that the boy gets a man and get that on him, right? So because it's so important that our boys see an image of a man,
That's
and
true.
right, and so we spend a lot of time negatively in a position where we have been conditioned against our men. You have been conditioned against our men, and our men have been conditioned against men. So, in order to turn that around, it is about being involved and actually giving. We have a ton of men working from the perspective of a conditioning where we have been taught that we have no value. And so for us, we don't play that. You have a lot of value, and we tell dads they have a lot of value, and we point out that the dad has one secret sauce that nobody else has. Mom don't have it. When a child has their father, literally, if you look at the statistics, in the first 3 years of a child's development is the most damage. Well, what do? We go to a system, and so we remove the father out of the home, or we move the father away from having access to his child, and the cognitive health of the child is impacted, boy and girl. So when you grow up, those first 3 years are so important. When you grow up, you have these relationship issues and everything, and it all stems from your first 3 years. So we know how important men and dads are, and so that's why we drive the narrative of speaking for men and talking with men and making sure men start changing their perspective, because we have a serious issue within the culture where men don't look after men. So we don't talk to each other. Like I'm working on a project right now because men don't we barely even speak to each other. I have to check men all the time when I'm walking by. How you doing, brother? You know what I mean? Just to get their attention, because we are in such an attack mode against each other that society has us pitted this way. So in our mentoring program, our boys get men, and then we teach them leadership.
So what type of program it is that you said you're working on right now?
Well, I mean, that piece is just about something for men, but I'm not going to really talk about that right now.
Oh,
But
okay.
the mentoring program piece is right now we are headed toward our annual pancake breakfast where we bring the whole community together, and our boys serve the community. And with us teaching our boys this leadership, you should see how our boys respond to just being responsible. And a lot of
So tell
times
me what
we take
the
that.
program, the current program that you have, it's for
Emmy,
children age 12 and it goes all the way up to age 24. And I believe you're holding it you do things in the schools, but then also at St. Paul's Church after school.
yeah. So our program again, 8 to 14 up to the eighth grade. Then we do 14 to 24, right? So it's Emmy Future Leaders and Emmy Future Leaders Elite.
Keep in mind, I can't hear you that well, so go ahead and finish.
Right, and then so that's really just that's our program. Future
What do
leaders
you
and
do in
future
your
leaders.
program? So you said you teach languages, and that's wonderful. And teaching Arabic, that's wonderful because we have a lot of our community is engulfed with Arab-speaking people. So then this gives our youth an opportunity to have people to converse with, as well as know what is being said when you're just in the midst.
Right. So that's just part of it. Then we teach them to lead, right? Leadership is everything. Our boys, we run them, get that emotion out of them. We have breathing circles where it brings them down to help them with their left side of the brain. So these are all proven things that we've been doing to get our young men to in a place of focus.
Okay, so you said that's helping them with their left side of their brain thinking, and you're doing things to help their cognitive skills. And
Yes.
so, what's a typical day? I think you currently the program is held on Sundays, so kind of after church, and then on Wednesdays you have a program running this evening, as well as another one that's on Mondays and another day as well. Correct?
Right. Right.
And it's a
So
14-week program. And can you
14.
describe for us what's a typical evening for the youth?
They work out. They come in, work, stretch, do their breathing, run. Then they get their folders and their pamphlets, and we go into teaching them certain things like character development, things like that. We ask them what was their day like, so they get to talk in that area. We peer on peer, so they get with their peer. We give them life situations as peer, so then they can make these decisions, right, on their own. So we teach them how to make great decisions, and
So
we
helping with their
we just
critical
continue to.
thinking skills as well.
Yes, critical thinking, all of that, and then we bring the whole family together. So the moms come in for boss session, and we bring the dads in the first Monday of every month.
Oh, that's wonderful. Because the parents need. Say something. Can you hear me? Okay, I think we can't hear each other right now. But I did see that one of the things that the program is teaching children about being respectful. And somewhere along life's highway, some of our youth seem to think that I don't have to respect you unless you respect me. Now, I agree that we should give children respect, but when I grew up, you just had to respect your elders, period. Just period. I believe you're calling back in now.
Yes, yes.
Wonderful. I hear you now. So could you hear me at all when I was talking about the respect piece of your program?
But yes. So as far as what you're looking at is our Respect Day, which is April 6th. And the phone.
I can't hear you. So, it's very important for our children to learn to be respectful. And again, as I
Yes.
was saying, when I grew up, you had to speak when spoken to, and it's just a different age now. Children are involved in adult conversation, which I don't necessarily agree with, but that seems to be the trend of the day.
Well, when you remove the father figure or the father who actually is the architect of respect, then that's what you will get. right? Because the parenting model that our kids are dealing with is where they're demanding respect when they don't have self-respect. So we teach self-respect, and then we move into how you respect adults. And going forward, that's the motto: respect me, respect you, respect we. That's what we do with our Respect Day.
Oh, that's good.
Yes. So that I think that's what reteaching what respect looks like, because when you remove the male, this is
And
why
that's
you see
great
so
that your
much.
program also does an exercise piece for our youth.
Yes, that's in the mentoring program.
I actually just saw today in West Bloomfield, and of course, we're in the Michigan area, but we have people watching from all over the country. And but in West Bloomfield, there's a program that it's like a gym, but with the tires and the really rigorous workout for children. And the children look to be the age of maybe I mean 5 or 6 on up. And I said, wow, this is a really rigorous training for the youth. Kind of like maybe what they would get in a well, in a regular gym that adults go to, and definitely in maybe a football program. Someone was sharing with me the other day that a lot of our males don't get, they get a lot of their training or mentoring from their football teams and their basketball teams, which is true, but we need it in other areas like what you're doing with the
Yeah.
with
Well,
your mentoring
that's
program.
but yeah, but that's a part. Even those teams, they're struggling
Can
as
you hear
well,
me?
right? They're struggling.
I can't
Um,
hear you talking again.
can you hear me now?
So you put them in teams?
No. So once they leave me, they can go to teams, right? Because they're more prepared to be
Go ahead.
successful.
I'm looking at you on a closed caption.
Okay. So they're more successful. They're more successful when they go through our program, and then we send them out to be on teams. So they're very, very successful being on teams
To
and
our
everything.
room, our station room, I cannot hear our caller at all. I believe that our listeners and viewers can hear you, Mr. Mann. So as long you can hear me, please go ahead and finish telling us about your program. And I also see that you have a podcast. Tell us
Yes.
when does your podcast come on?
Every Monday at 4 o'clock, put your family first. All our work is geared toward family restoration, and so we do the work to make
Oh,
sure
Mondays at
that we
4.
yes, Mondays at 4, and we do the work
And
to
how
make
do people
sure.
connect with your platform? I think it was called Podtastic. How do
Yes,
they have to
podcasting
go to
is the platform.
podtastic.com or something?
Yes, yes, and so podcasting is one way, but more importantly, the podcast is just to get information about how families could be better and how they can do things to be better. So that's pretty much what we do with our podcast. We're getting ready to bring on some real powerful people across the country. We're gonna up our guests because we got to get more information. We've had an education summit literally on our podcast.
Well, that's wonderful that you get people from all over the country. Um, so, how do you get the young men that are 24, the ages past high school through 24? So they're out of high school. How do you grasp, get that
Hello? Blame it on the
He's
sunshine.
hanging up and calling back because I can't hear him.
Can you hear me now?
Not really. I'm looking at you on closed caption.
It's good to see you.
But you can hear me?
Yes, ma'am. I can hear you.
So I was asking you, how do you get the age group between, from high school from 18 to 24?
So it we just started that phase. This is a very difficult group to get. A lot of these young men are is saturated with video gaming, poor parenting, um, no accountability. They actually are, very, very disrespectful. Um, they get to do whatever they want to do because we allow these boys to make their own decisions. So by the time they get to 14, 15, 16, and hit the high school, we start letting them make adult decisions there. And when a kid hits high school, that's when a parent really needs to be more involved. But we take our hands off our kids and we start letting them make decisions. And then the only time we show up is at the prom. We
Yeah, that
have
is a problem.
right, which is a problem. And so this 14 to 24 age group for us is to build this portion of our program with financial literacy. The boys can get their own financial plan. We got it where we got a financial manager comes in. They teach them how to invest, and they can invest and start making money with the stock company. We have them connected to um, um, those programs, those jobs, skill trade, college access. We're working on a college tour, and this
You
age
know,
group we had.
Wayne County Community College District, I saw that that's one of your sponsors as well, because we have some wonderful programs.
Well, it's not that they was a sponsor. We worked with Wayne County to do a fatherhood program there.
Okay.
Um, that was in the past, again, right
Well, you
now
can I
you
can help
have.
you get connected back with that again,
Okay,
if that's
that's
what you
awesome.
like to do.
That's awesome. And the other piece to that is our young men need manhood things. So we have David Patterson, one of our mentors, is about to become a doctor, and so we're going to be inside of that mentoring program. It's manhood training. So
Wonderful.
there are a number of pieces that come with, right, because we charge a fee for 14 weeks, 250 for the 14 to 24s, and 8 to 14, 225. That comes out to like $6 a day, if that, for over the 14 weeks.
So
And
with
each
that
kid
fee,
gets
you
a.
have the parents are paying that 250, and so they're committed to getting, helping their males, their youth.
Well, in our program, when a parent signs up, they have to be involved. We tie it all in.
That's
So the
wonderful.
parent has to attend ball session. The dad has to come in the first Monday. Then we do a family day where we bring the whole family together, right?
Hmm.
And so the conversations that we're having is getting them to understand how important both parents are in this process. For mothers who don't have a whole lot of help in our boss, we give them self care tools that when the young man comes back in the house, that they don't repeat that performance. Some parents get it, some parents struggle with it. But in more cases than not, we're seeing our parents understand not to keep the same environment that we're changing in his life.
And one thing, I was a single parent raising a male as well. And one thing that I've learned is that yelling at children, and that doesn't really do it. You don't need to yell at kids. Maybe there's some exceptions on occasion, but a lot of excessive yelling, and especially with men and boys, they just tune you out.
Well, yeah, yeah. You gotta. The boy comes out the womb manipulating the mother. So about time he's 5, he has full blown manipulation in effect. He knows.
You
He
said by
knows
the
how
time he's
to.
5?
Yeah. So in some cases they start early. They start earlier than that because they. You got to remember the child will give the mother what she wants. So it was a study done, a fatherhood study, a parenting study was done over 20 years where they monitored kids going to school. Whenever the mother pulled the child up to the school, in most cases, the children will be emotional. The mother walks out all the way into the school, right? And once they get inside and leave, the child will give the mother exactly what she wants. This is the way that moms have responded. What they
Well,
found
as a
was the father
single
pulled up.
parent raising my son, I kept him involved with things in programs.
Yeah, but on this 20-year study, just to point out to you, on the 20-year
And
study,
he was a very
right,
good young man, still an excellent grown man now.
right, and so you did that by yourself, or did he have mentors? Was his dad involved? Right? What was his case? Was his dad involved?
His dad was involved some, yes.
That's
His dad
that's
was involved, yes, he was involved.
right.
And there was
So
even a
that's
period where he lived with
that's
his dad as well. So
right.
there was
See
some
what I'm
dual
saying? So
parenting
that's
going on.
why that piece is so important. So on the 20-year study, when men pulled up to the school, the kid got out the car, walked in, said bye, no crying, no emotion, none of that. And they found that in every case where the father was dropping the child off. So the difference is this is why you need both, right? And so, like you saying, your son was a good young man. You and your husband probably were, or former husband, or the father, or whatever the case may be, right? May have been in love when he was conceived. May have been married when he was conceived. May have had a committed relationship when he was conceived.
I tell you one thing that I've seen, uh, Mr. Calvin Mann, and I would say people could call in, but right now you can't call in today. If you wanted to type something in, due to the technical difficulties, you can just comment on the comments if you're on Facebook or YouTube. Children were created to be raised by both parents, male and female. There are things that both the father and the mother bring to that child that is essential for their learning. And somewhere, we've got the idea that, oh, you're single mothers, they raise their children all the time. You can do it, you can handle it. Well, women, men need a man to help teach them how to be a man. I
Right,
know, again, for me, I kept my son involved in 4-H or the PAL leagues and
right,
different things like that, where he would have male mentoring along with whatever his father was doing. And so
right,
that helped him to become the successful young, mighty black man of God that he is today. But
right,
that isn't everyone's case. And even sometimes you have women that will pit the child because they want the man, and then say, well, you can't see your child or you can't spend time. That is so wrong. And I'm sure you run into that with some of the male use that you deal with, where the mother won't allow the father to see their child because of, for whatever reason. sometimes it's just because she wants the man. And so I'm going to try to get back at him, uh, excuse me, and not allow him to see his child. And how do
Well,
you
we see
all,
that all the time.
how you deal, you get that all the time? www.emiy three two 3323. And so they also do financial literacy, as well as the language piece. Um, they have a very good lineup of things that they're doing with this program, this male mentoring program. Uh,
Right.
Mr. Mann is also involved. Can you hear me, Mr. Mann?
I sure can.
Wonderful. So I was sharing with our audience about some of the things that you do, some of the success stories. I believe you mentioned that there's at least one young man, I think you said, is a doctor now or has finished his education.
That's one of our mentors.
One of your
All my
mentors,
boys,
okay.
yes, all my boys are husbands and fathers. From 37 years of work, every last one of my boys are husbands and fathers. They're responsible men. They're contributors to society. Some are
Wonderful.
athletes. Some are coaches. And again, as I speak, I can't or we can't take all the credit. We're just a part of the ingredient of their success. And that's what, I'll be preaching all along. All ingredients count. Just spoke at a banquet and nailed it. Was very proud to push the message out how important we all are to the puzzle. Too many times we look at our boys and we, from television to music to the lack of parenting to denied access to the father to emotional incarceration. Um, this is why our boys attack each other. It's easy for a young man to not care about someone that looks like him because of the things and the processes that we've done with our men, with our fathers, and things that we've said about our fathers. Those things fall on our boys. When we don't
And
know
mothers,
who
let
the
me say
father
this,
is,
mothers need to be very careful talking about the father of your child. One of the elders in my church shared that with me as I was going through divorce. Don't ever talk about, it was a husband and wife, don't ever talk about your son's father in front of your son. I don't care if you're even talking to your girlfriends on the phone. And that was such great advice that I really tried to make sure I followed, to not speak negative of my son's father. So that's important. Women that are listening that might be single, or even if you're not single, you should not be talking about the other parent. The daddy shouldn't be talking about the mother, and the mother should not talk about the father where the child can hear it. We sometimes
That's right.
think our children can grasp and understand everything, and they can't. And they
Well,
will. Go ahead.
that all of that is true. But think about this: you shouldn't be on the phone smoking weed. You shouldn't be on the phone telling lies. You
Or
shouldn't be
smoking weed
because
with your children. I know
your
people that
children,
smoke weed
man,
with their children, with their
yeah,
little
your
children.
children, right? You're damaging these kids. We're harming our children and our culture. The lies, when you pick up a phone and you call off work and your kid is sitting right there, your child learns this is what you look like when you're telling a lie.
Or
So
cussing
we
them
got,
out. Cussing out
right.
our children. That's not a good thing either. And then you wonder
No,
why they're cussing the teacher out, or cussing someone, another
right.
adult out.
Learned behavior. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
in your
So,
program, do you guys have a conflict resolution piece? I'm sure you do.
yes, all of that is in there, right? We,
Yes.
we even have restorative practice when, restorative justice and practice when it's time if we ever had a scenario. The great thing is our number one rule is you can't steal. Our number two rule is you can't use the N word in our program. So what happens is when we take that N word off the table, you find out just how intelligent our kids are.
Yes. And we have some
Easy.
intelligent children. I'm
We
one that
have very intelligent children. You
and
just
speaking positive for over your children. I am a
yes,
huge advocate. Don't even say the terrible twos. Okay, this they're two. It might be challenging, but find some other word. And this is my opinion to speak. I believe you have to speak life over yourself, over your children, your seed. That is hugely important. And oftentimes we say things, and definitely you don't call them stupid or dumb, or because they grasp it. If you say that one time, they'll hold. You might say 10 positive things, and they will hold on to that one negative thing that was said to them. And then they
that's
will
right.
sit and think that they're stupid or dumb, and that's just aren't even words that we need to have in our vocabulary.
Well, you got to remember, parenting is a teacher's job. If you got a child and you're not teaching them, you're failing them. And so that's why you have the poor reading levels. That's why you have these things. But if you want success for your child, teaching your child is important from the word go. Not teaching your child ignorance, not teaching your child the very things. We have to understand the things that we do in front of our children, they will mimic. Our boys, especially. So
Yes.
what has happened is um, they put $12.8 billion in the girls and women's programs. In 2018, they built 200 shelters for women. The
Wow.
male population makes up the highest homeless population in the world in the United States. Right?
Yeah.
That's the male population. They did not build one shelter for men.
And that's a problem. They need to have shelters for men if that's because that is needed. But in more importantly, I think we need to have equally as many man programs, boy mentoring programs all around the country. That yes, the women need it, but men need it as well.
Right. Right. Because of the way we see things or have seen things, right? So when we started talking about how the process for that male child, we pretty much fall in the system. As soon as you start, when you take the kid and you separate him from the father, and then you execute that power, you're literally pouring and presenting the child to the pipeline of death, suicide, murder, neglect, caskets, uh, juvenile,
So true.
prison.
I
These
um
are
I also
these
volunteer
are
in our
those areas.
prisons, and it's just sad the number of our young men that are in prison.
Yeah,
Good men.
to
Everybody that's in prison, they're not all bad people. I was just there
no, no,
Sunday,
no,
and
no.
they're getting more. There are more and more young people. I just started back after COVID because I've been doing prison ministry for 20 years, and so I'm in several prisons and jails. Um, and but I'm starting to see more young men that are being tried as adults, and
Yeah,
young man came up to me. I didn't ask him his age, but he looked to be early 20s, and just asked me to really pray for him because he really wants to go home, and
yeah, yeah.
tired of
But what's at
being,
home, right?
huh?
Home is home is what put them there.
Probably.
You see what I'm saying?
Hmm.
See, we like to play. Let's play games, right? I had choices and decisions. I come from my mother and father divorced. I went through some trials and tribulations, right? I did some things. Fortunately, I had learned ahead of the time. Um, I was born in a marriage, right? I get it. But the one thing that we don't understand is whatever you sow, you will reap. So, to those who keep the Father away from the Son with this power game, you are going to reap one of these statistics. One of these statistics you're going to reap. When the father decides that he doesn't want to be involved in his child's life, you're going to reap one of those statistics. It, it it never fails. It is guaranteed like air. Remove the dead, destroy the child. Period. So when we try to fight for a
And
certain
the
amount of
girls need their
power,
fathers too. You have a lot of women
exactly,
that are going around looking for
exactly,
love in all the wrong places
yes, exactly,
just because they
exactly,
don't have healthy relationships with
right,
their father or no
right.
relationship with
None.
their father.
Remove the dead, destroy the children.
You're right.
Black women, black women, and black men are both.
I thank you for your patience.
Can
So
you
I
hear me?
know you just had you mentioned about the event that you just had recently, a wonderful event, a fundraising event, I'm sure for the program. I want our listeners and callers to know again, this is the Emmy Male Mentoring Program, and you can go to their website. First of all, the phone number to get in touch with this program is area code 313-332-3323. And then their website is www.emmyworld. No, let me say it right. Yes, Emily World. I'm going to spell it. www.emmyworld.com. That's www.emmyworld.com. Wonderful program, great things that you all are doing. And I so thank you for
Thank you.
being our guest this evening. And I'm looking forward. I would love to have you come in to the station one evening when you have an
Yeah,
opportunity
let's
on a
do that.
Wednesday. But I know right now you have the program running on
Yeah,
Wednesday, and we
let's
have
do
less
that. I'll
challenges
talk
here
to
at the
you.
station when there's a live guest.
Yes, I'll talk to you off air, and let's schedule that so your listeners can really get this information firsthand.
That sounds wonderful. And I understand that I know your cousin Jackie Lang. She just
Oh
texted me and
yeah,
said that's my cousin.
really?
Yes. Yep.
Well, you know,
So.
I had so much family. It's a million of us. You hear me? We don't die, we multiply, and we all family. You know what I mean? So
You said we don't die, we multiply.
we multiply. I got so many nieces and nephews and brothers. And it's 8 boys and 2 girls. My brothers and sisters. So that's why family is so important to me because you are able to have these relationships that you can depend on and count on. We do too much negativity and say too much negativity about family, and
Families are very
family is
important.
not your bank. Family is not your bank. Family is not your um, that's not your loan deposit, right? Family is family. Family got issues. Family needs you to be family, but family don't always have money, so you can't always go to family. And then when they don't have money, or you think they got money and they don't share money, you can't say, "Oh man, that's why I can't stand family." That's not what we do.
I love my family. I'm a
Yeah, me
very
too.
family oriented person.
Yes, me too.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, let's do that. Maybe you can call me tomorrow or later on this evening, and then we'll schedule it, and I'll make sure I'll give you a Wednesday. I really appreciate your time, and thank you for having me. And I look forward to the in-person conversation so we can really get at it.
Yes, the same here. I look forward to that as well. And I'm just, again, I can't tell you how great, how happy I am to hear, about your program and to know that you're out there, that you're doing a wonderful job. We didn't get a chance to talk about some of your books that you have. You
Right.
have one book called Put Your Family First, and you have a few books.
Yes,
Uh,
ma'am.
Put Your Family
15 things
First.
you to know about fatherhood. Put
Yes.
Your Family First is one of our songs. Adventures of Ober and Luther are the characters that we use for our Smash Suicide campaign. So yeah, let's schedule that.
So where can
I'm gonna
people
go
go
ahead.
if they want to? They can go to your website, I'm sure, and get your books from there as well.
They can go to Amazon or Barnes and Noble. That's where them books are.
Amazon or Barnes and Nobles. You heard it here
Yep.
first.
Type in Calvin T. Man, and all my books and music will come up.
Because you have your own, well, that's your Gmail, but Calvin, type in Calvin T. Man. Wonderful.
That's on Amazon. When you
On
go to
Amazon.
Amazon, type in Calvin T. Man, and it'll bring up all my books.
Okay. And then don't forget you can call at 313-332-3323, and you can go to their website at www.emiworld.com. Again, Mr. Mann, I thank you so much for being our guest this evening, and we will get together, and I look forward to seeing you and having you on the podcast. You have a
Yes,
wonderful
ma'am.
evening, sir.
You as well.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.